Hello, and welcome to Push and Pull, a medical massage podcast, brought to you by the team at The Tall and Short of It. I'm your host, Justin, LMT, and co-owner of Touch of Phoenix Elite Massage. This is episode 1. So, it would likely be a good place to start of what this podcast is going to be, why we're here, why I'm standing in front of this microphone talking to you today. I guess the inception of the idea, and I guess I'll stop bouncing around. The inception of the idea came from wanting to have a place to talk about my clients, talk about the process, talk about what I find in massage that gets creative juices flowing. I think overall this is going to be more of a maybe like a stream of consciousness type deal. I'm not too familiar like orating or public speaking or like giving lectures or classes or whatever. I've had like some experience with this stuff, but it's not it's not my day job, obviously. So forgive any speaking errors or this and that. But I think overall the stream of consciousness is probably right where we're at. I have a bunch of ideas and thoughts about my clients and the process and some of my cases and like what's going on that I haven't had a good outlet to like work through them. And so maybe this is part like documentation, part thinking out loud, and maybe just thinking that this thinking out loud could be useful to somebody, maybe useful to my clients, maybe useful to friends of clients as a way to maybe get them into massage, introduce the idea of massage, maybe just introduce a person, myself. If a friend has an issue, not sure about massage, makes him nervous, maybe a meeting session will be awkward. So what if you could just hear him, see what he's like, see what he talks about. I think that's useful, right? So basically that's the idea here with this podcast is I'm just wanting to be useful. And being that I've been useful to my clients, I've had success in massage. I have success with clients, but I think most importantly, and this is the crux of the podcast. What I think mostly this is going to be about is failure. I think overall these conversations will be about failure and the process by which one does make a mistake, but how you can learn from that, how you interact with the client on that subject, because I think it's very difficult as a practitioner, as somebody that your clients are coming to as like an expert in the field. It's tough to maybe drop the facade a little bit. Maybe I'm not even sure what the process by which one would like maybe want to shore up where they were wrong, or make an excuse, just like, oh well, likely it's just this, or oh I understand, but this is this. And I think it often it takes a lot to admit that when you were wrong, but moreover I think it takes a lot to admit when you were wrong about something that an individual paid for. And there's no way that you can say I guess you could give money back on the session, but overall I think the finding the happy medium between admitting when you were wrong, telling the client why, but then also having a strategy to rectify it. Now, why do I want to talk about this stuff? Because this happens to me every day. I am confronted with scenarios where I wasn't exactly right. I was in the ballpark, or I didn't hear a detail, or there was something that they said right at on the first time that I met them that ends up being the whole crux of the case, but for whatever reason I ignored it before, didn't give it the weight that it deserved, or whatever the wrong was, whatever the mistake was. I'm telling you, it happens to me every day. So maybe this is a response to that. Maybe this is a way to, I don't know, just be human, I guess, in a forthcoming manner, where it's like, hey, these are the mistakes I've made, and it comes back to the usefulness idea. Hey, these are the mistakes I've made. Maybe you can learn from them, not make them yourself. But taking me as an example, I don't often learn from example. I often learn by making those mistakes, making the failures. So maybe that's what we need. Now, so I guess that kind of lays out what the podcast is going to be about, what we're doing here. Like I said, just to kind of underline, overall, I think this is about failure. This is about failure and learning how to learn in a way that is good for everybody, both yourself, your clients, the people that you talk to about massage, and prospective clients, and also a way to be an ambassador for massage therapy in general, and not just massage therapy, like medical massage, massage that can truly help people and relieve them of pain, and create muscular and skeletal balance. I'm not saying we're doing adjustments. I'm not saying we're quote unquote cracking bones. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you can relieve the pressure of the muscles, introduce maybe strength training, or maybe strength training is an aggressive word. Like, what if maybe it's just about balance? Maybe it's just about some structural shoring up. Maybe it's just think of it as like maybe just a couple extra sandbags against the levee is all you need. So I think there is a lot of value in having these conversations out loud, and not just in my head, because like I said, maybe it could be of use for somebody. So I think that is like the idea, where the idea came from for the podcast. That is where I come from in my practice itself. I never claim to be the expert. Damn sure not at all. If anything, I learn more from my clients than a textbook ever could, and maybe that just speaks to just individual difference in just life and just in humans biologically. But yeah, overall I think we can note patterns, but there's a lot to be learned from the things that you get wrong. So yeah, Push and Pull is a medical massage podcast about failure, oddly enough. Now, who am I? What is Touch of Phoenix Elite Massage? It is, well, it's something that we'll get to. First of all, I would just like to kind of lay out my ideas for maybe what this podcast could be, maybe a bit of a schedule, maybe a bit of a rough itinerary for maybe this upcoming year, maybe at least just the next upcoming weeks. But yeah, maybe it's good to outline some of that stuff. So I plan to have guests, not every episode, but when I can. The idea is to have clients as guests. The idea is to have my business partner Sarah as a guest on this podcast here as well. I had some ideas about maybe there's other practitioners that I can bring in, maybe there's some teachers that I can bring in, but I imagine that will likely come with the maybe exposure in a way where it wouldn't make sense until people are actually listening. So I think that's the plan. It's going to be the stream of consciousness conversations, more focus on just like what happened during the week, what went wrong, what did we learn, what went well, what could we improve on, any notes that we had. Yeah, I think this is just going to be like a weekly kind of documentation. We're going to sprinkle in guests when we can and that's going to be more of like an interview series. Ask them how massages worked for them, what works, how they know me, and just about the process in general for some of my clients. Now, understand that all like HIPAA regulations will be followed. No last names. No divulging of like personal information or anything. When I can, I'll probably change people's names, use fantasy names. Maybe I had Harry Potter as a client, maybe maybe Batman came to come see me, but just know that any name changes are with respect to the clients, because depending on what happens, this may be rather local. This could be fairly local. If you're on the West Coast listening, hopefully maybe this is useful, but yeah, if this is local, I want to make sure that all of my clients' privacy is accounted for and taken well into consideration. So even if I have somebody on camera, no, you can't know them from Adam. So that's kind of the main idea. I just want to get that out kind of right at the beginning. So look forward to seeing, talks about when I had Aquaman as a client, the time I worked on Ted Bundy, just all sorts of weirdos that I've seen and worked on. And we can talk about those cases down the line, but that's kind of what the podcast is going to be. And I think a byproduct of all of this is, maybe as I get a couple episodes in, a byproduct of this is going to be, it's a documentation of my massage career. I could go back and see, even like a meta-analysis where I was even wrong about being wrong, or wrong about being, whatever it was. So I think this will be maybe even just a useful tool for me. Maybe maybe this is just VOD review, but yeah, that's what this podcast is about. That is push and pull. So hopefully you're here for it. Hopefully, like I said, this is useful. But I think that's enough setup. I think that's enough kind of about, what's going on here. So let's kind of talk about where I came from in massage, what we can just say work history has been. So I started at BTI, with the massage program, and it was about, I think it was like 900 hours, maybe it was a little less, like 875 or something. But yeah, like we did the whole gamut. We learned Swedish massage. There was like the spa class. There was like, the medical massage class where we learned like, like pin and stretch techniques, STR, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like we just ran through the whole gamut. There was like pregnancy massage and sports massage, and we learned the chair and draping and all this. So that was all BTI. Like I said, that was like a 900-hour program or so. I think I learned a lot there at BTI. What I think was most interesting was, and yeah, I guess I just get used to talking about it, just going into depth, going into detail. So previously in school, I was not a good student. I mean, there were good grades that I was able to I'll say like stumble onto. I use that terminology. I didn't do a whole lot of work, like in high school and college. That's why I went to a trade school. I didn't do well in college. I did like 2.5 years at I did 2.5 years at Bloomsburg. Realized it wasn't for me. I wasn't doing so hot at the at the academic side of it. So I had to change my plan. So I think what was I say all of that to illustrate this point is what was so maybe interesting about school for me at the time was the fact that I was able to was the fact that it was coming like very naturally to me in learning the anatomy and physiology, learning about like the all of the underpinnings of why massage worked. I figured I wasn't like the best like hands-on therapist. I still don't believe I'm like the best hands-on therapist. I think there must be massage therapists who have a more relaxing quality of touch, maybe less erratic with their fingers. I palpate a whole lot. I have long, bony little fingers that may not feel that good. So I had intimations of my strength in massage not being how well I could, do the effleurage strokes and like keep people relaxed and blah blah blah. But I figured my strength was in knowing the anatomy and physiology. Like I just knew where the muscles were, and the system of validation that school uses with like the 100% and the A's and you got all these right, and you break things down into like small bite-sized pieces. I was in a better position in my life to allow that learning to happen, and then also having the awareness to like notice that was different. So I leaned into it even more. The leaning into it even more just created even more 100% and even more A's and even more understanding of the way the hand works, the way the arm works, the way the shoulder begins to work. Like, what do all the muscles of the torso look like? How does the diaphragm interact with the rest of the body? All of these things were easy to understand in a way that I didn't understand. So I just kind of leaned into it. I figured if this is making sense to me, why question it? It seems to be going well. So I just leaned into it. So that was kind of my experience at BTI, where I was getting a significant self-confidence boost through the practice of this trade, right? There were elements of it where, excuse me while I exhale, there were elements to it where I had never been so successful at something in my life before. I knew about things. I had skills, no marketable skills, nothing anybody would pay for. And here I was in a new environment with people that were just like me, and I was like excelling at something. I was a cut above the rest at something. Man, that felt good. So I believe there was a distinct cocktail of self-confidence and maybe Hail Maryness to the way that everything was going, that I kept getting the sense that it had to be right. And as we get further along in the conversations, we'll find that, yeah, I mean, it was right. But you don't know that at the time. Most things are a leap of faith if you're willing to take it. And I think overall that's what massage school was. My dad was moving down to Georgia, and I was unemployed, no prospects, and he was down there for his own life and his own job, and I was like, man, maybe I just need to leave. Maybe I need to get out of here. And so I talked to him and I was like, hey, like, can I come down there with you? And he said, I mean, I guess, what do you, it's not a vacation. What are you doing? I said, well, I guess I could go to school. And what a dumb idea that was. Seriously, what a dumb idea that was. Oh, I'll go to school. The thing that I couldn't do before, what made me believe, seriously, what made me believe that that was going to be like the route. That's literally like how closed-minded I was. Like the one thing I failed at before, maybe I can make it work this time. I think there was just something that told me that I needed to be educated. I needed something like marketable. I needed I I needed something. So I think I put a very, very high risk, high reward. I put myself in a high risk, high reward scenario, and I made my dad kind of foot the bill for it in a way where he asked, he's like, well, why can't you just do that here? Why do you got to go to Georgia? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know when it's going to be. And I think something in the way it all went down, he kind of forced he kind of forced a decision out of me. And so I got signed up for BTI, or I went and visited, I got signed up, and I just started nailing it just right off the bat. So obviously, like I said, I just kept leaning into that feeling. And it felt really good. So I guess that's the start of it. That's the being down there, man. That is the underworld to a certain degree, and finding a way out. And I don't believe it was up to anybody else, but the assistance of my family around me. They showed a great amount of support, but it was also the willingness and maybe tiredness, desperateness from me to just say, like, fuck it, I guess I'm willing to try one more thing. So like all of that was just like wrapped up in this decision to go to massage school. And maybe I'm building it up to be more than it was, but I think and maybe we'll get into this stuff later, but I've been shown things in my life that make me believe that the small little, maybe not milestones, but just like tiny little events, often add up to a whole lot. And maybe not add up to a whole lot, but end up, what would you say? Like, you could only get a sense of how important things were until you're a little farther out from the event, maybe, is like the best way to say it, in the sense of like yeah, I think you can gain a little bit of wisdom with time and understand like maybe what something actually was. So yeah, that's all this is. Just like a reflection of school, the things that went well. Okay, so that was BTI. Sail through, nail everything, and then we had the NBLEX, which is the certification exam. That I think is the culmination for a lot of people. And it was, and I guess it, just like a lot of exams, I guess it's the thing that weeds people out. We did well enough on ours, pass. So then we are, officially a licensed massage therapist, but you still have to do then, hold on, let me get this right. I guess by that point, I was already working at the chiropractor office. That was like my out of school employment. So then there's so I was working there because I was trained. I had the schooling done. I just had to get the NBLEX. So we get that done. We let them know. So now we're licensed therapists working in the field. We already have our thing. We are shucking and jiving. Now, we're working at the chiropractor office. We're out of school, and things, I would say, are going pretty well. Now, what got us to the chiropractor office? So I guess we have to go back to school a little bit. So the classes that excited me the most were the ones where, like I was saying, like we learn about anatomy and physiology and where the muscles attach and the things that were not applicable to a spa environment. I think that's what just overall excited me most. So when we were looking for employment, the indication was to go for a chiropractor office. That seemed to be a good way to have people to learn from, and also a way to be in the environment that would clue future clients in that I was there for applied pain relief, maybe not using traditional methods. Obviously at a chiropractor office, they're doing adjustments and mechanical traction and stim, and they throw a whole myriad of other strategies at musculoskeletal issues that therapists don't. However, I just thought it would be a good place to learn from. Overall, I'll withhold my beliefs on chiropractic care. I think there's something to be said for it. I'm not sure what. I don't know what the data says. And overall, I'm going to try and avoid making statements that I would like a more basis in science. I think overall, where I'd like to come from on the podcast is just like anecdotal experience, just what I've learned from my clients, from the individuals that I've studied from. Like Joe Musculino is one of the therapists that I've learned a good amount from. So I don't want to say things are like cut in stone. I don't want to start dropping a whole lot of opinions. Just to say, I worked at a chiropractor office. That's not to endorse them or talk against them or whatever. It's just like a stepping stone in the career. I think that's what I want to say about that. I don't know if that's necessary or whatever. But yeah, we can leave it at that. Now, there's an element to the chiropractor office that was super engaging, and I learned a lot in a small amount of time. I saw a good number of clients in a small amount of time. So I think there was an element to the chiropractor office that helped me maybe accelerate my progress to a significant degree. And for that, I'm like super thankful. It introduced me to a lot of the clients that I still have today, a lot of really, really, really good people that needed help and were willing to give a new practicing therapist a try. And I'm pretty sure I had the benefit of using the role that I was working at there. I was the chiropractor's assistant, so I would do like light muscle work, light stretching, and kind of just like do like the questionnaires, the intakes, which as well, and I think we'll get to this later in like my case studies that I do today in my own practice, is I got a good, or I learned what questions actually give you useful information and what questions just don't tell us a whole lot. And through interacting with 70 odd people a day and seeing how different people react to questions that you ask them about their very real pain that is like a literal thorn in their side. There's a world where you want to be very succinct in what you're saying and make sure that you're not wasting people's time overall. I think one of our biggest sins as like muscle workers and body workers is like filler, maybe, is not knowing what's at the actual root of the problem. So like you're guessing, you're suggesting, you're this and you're that. So one big strength that came out of the chiropractor office was questions. Asking questions and getting useful, good, strong, reliable information is going to be more useful than anything your fingers can tell you, because, and let's go back to the beginning of the episode, is you're wrong a lot. And shout out Nathan, my old boss. I did not know what I do not know and did not know, right? You don't have intimations of like, oh, there's this like graft of information over here that I don't know the information, but I'm aware of it. You're not even aware of what you don't know. So if you're not asking the right questions, the fingers that you're putting on people's problems are misinformed. Your sensors are reading data improperly. So you want to ask the right questions to inform your sensors as to what to be looking for. So one of the big things that come out of working with doctors, medical-minded people, is how to ask good questions. So I think that has been crucial in my own practice, like recently. But also, I think just crucial to good practice of anything is asking the right questions about how to get at what you're trying to get at. So that was big for the chiropractor office, having the doctors to learn from, having an insane influx of clients and patients to learn from, where it was really just a numbers game for me, where eventually I was going to hit it off with some clients from the few couple minutes that I saw them. I was going to hit it off with a couple people. My book was going to fill up. The benefit of the doctors is they upsold you. Like, oh, they just hired you to make them money. They're going to upsell you. So they kind of put people in my book, right? So there was that positive element from the new therapist perspective, where I didn't have to like prove myself to everybody. I was like spoon-fed a couple of my clients, but also there were great people who were just willing to give a shot, just give me a shot in just trying to treat their issue. Obviously, I was way more green. I didn't know what I was doing. I had ideas of what could be okay, maybe, but yeah, overall, I was just trying to imitate what I saw from the doctors that work there. And I believe if you keep your eyes open, and maybe eventually I'll tell this story, but if you keep your eyes open, you can learn that's half the game, man. So I just tried to soak up everything that I saw. I tried to soak up everything that I heard, and it's gotten me, it's gotten me at least some of the information that I have access to now. And I guess I say all of that to say is I just credit to the doctors that I learned from. And maybe the meta point there is that I'm trying to say you need help, because like I was getting at, you don't know what you don't know, and these are the ones that can help you. So pay attention to your teachers, your mentors, like even your bosses that you hate. Like I can't tell you how many times in my head I've referenced bosses or people that I've known that maybe I didn't get along with too well, but something hits me like a brick and I just think like, damn, okay, so that's what he was talking about when he was chewing my ass out about whatever the fuck. So yeah, I think just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and you'll absorb some quality information. So I think that's what I would like to say about the chiropractor office, as far as like, roots and beginnings and where I've come from. That's like the big thing. There was, many massages, many clients, many like emergency scenarios. So that was like another interesting thing. I'm less confident treating like acute type, like, oh, this just happened today. Because overall, I think there isn't a terrible amount that massage therapists can do for an acute injury, being like a sprain or a strain, or just like something like a what am I trying to get at? Like a bludgeoned, blunt trauma to an area. That's the point that I was getting to. there's not a whole lot we can do for that kind of stuff. So it was interesting that chiropractors had strategies for that. So we learned about like icing, maybe just like stretch the area, try and figure out what caused the damage so you can do the opposite. A lot of times in the body, it's these not on off switches, but more of like faders, right? So you want to work both sides of an issue. If a stretch, like if overstretching caused the issue, there's actually good data that tells us like just making that muscle contract over and over and over and over again helps to relieve that feeling of it like being overstretched. You actually like pull it back together by actively contracting it. So these are all just part of the things I learned at the chiropractor office, and it shored up that thing inside of me that was telling me that I wanted to be working on the things that would help people, and I wanted to learn the things that would be actively helping people. And I think what we found was applied motion and working specifically in the right areas has been the biggest boon to getting people relief. And so I think this is my shill for that style of massage. This is me trying to get that message out into the world that like there is more that we can be doing as therapists to make people feel better, not just subjectively, but like objectively correcting what is wrong in their body and then explaining why that's happening, how it happened, and steps that they can take to keep it from happening again once you have reversed whatever they did, or in a lot of cases, whatever they didn't do. This isn't a condemnation of anybody. It's just the facts. It's just what happens in life, man. So from there, from the chiropractor office, was the leap out into small business ownership with my partner Sarah. We met through massage, and it's been a great thing to learn together and do together, and a great thing to build our life around. So me and Sarah started Touch of Phoenix, I believe like 2 years ago, maybe a little more, but we wanted to give clients a better experience in their healthcare and help them be on their own team. And one of the big ways that we wanted to do that was just give clients like just the space of time where at the chiropractor office we weren't able to talk with these people at all. So that whole soapbox about asking good questions and this and that, it actually couldn't happen on the actual massage side of the chiropractor office. So the thing that I actually really wanted to be doing is my skills were like lacking, or I couldn't apply the skills I had learned on the other side of the office to, what I was doing in my massage practice at the back of the office. So the big thing that we wanted to add to our practice was large chunks of time where we could just talk to our clients, give them like overall like 35 minutes where we can ask questions, maybe do muscle tests, illustrate stretches, and just kind of talk at what's talk at what the problem is. Because the more information we have, the more useful we can be as therapists, instead of like working in the wrong areas in improper ways and overall wasting people's time. Because, like I was getting to at the beginning, was that when you're wrong as a therapist, you've wasted somebody's time and you've wasted their money for a session. And more than the money, it's about the time. Is you sold them an idea, you said, I could help you. And we didn't, as a therapist, we didn't help them because we didn't know enough about the particular issue that they brought to us to adequately help them. So I think it comes down to asking questions. So that is the key difference in Touch of Massage or Touch of Phoenix Elite Massage, is that we give clients the space of time to talk about their issue, really illustrate what's going on, and use that added information to adequately get at the root of the issue. And the combination of time given to clients and working with the idea that you can make small qualitative changes over like multiple periods of time to make large differences in your day-to-day life. So I guess where I'm getting at with that is it's about the idea of like rebirth in a way, and not this overall grand sense of somebody digging up out of the grave or coming out of the coffin or whatever, but it's these repeated instances of breaking something down and getting something new out of it, breaking something down and getting something new out of it. There is good, well, let me just say this. I have good reason to believe that is a lot of what life is the breakdown of some part of you, some part of yourself, whether it be a physical element, whether it be an emotional element or a mental element, is a breakdown of that, a removal of that previous piece of you and an installation of something new. And a lot of times it doesn't feel good, right? I think that's another thing that underpins medical massage in general, is it's not fun, right? It doesn't feel good. But I would argue that is exactly where you want to be. If you want to make like real lasting change, you have to be where it hurts. You have to be where it doesn't feel good. Nobody ever learned anything in a comfort zone. So I think overall that's what medical massage is all about. That's reflected in the name of our business. That's reflected in the name or the way that we practice, is literally killing something, killing a part of you and coming out on the other side new and reborn. So I think that is at the core of what we do and what we tried and how we tried to separate ourselves in this field when me and Sarah partnered up to become Touch of Phoenix Elite Massage. So that's a bit of where we came from, where I came from. Sarah has her own story, and that leads us into kind of the last segment here, where we're headed. I would like to keep most of these episodes about this length, like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I just want to bring useful information, useful considerations, useful thoughts about medical massage and the application thereof. Hopefully we can get some good insights from clients. Hopefully we can get some just good insights from leading therapists in the field. I'll bring relevant research when I can. I'd like to talk about classes, CEs that I've done. This is just going to be a dumping of my medical massage knowledge, a place for it, a place to talk about it, and hopefully a place where we can all grow as therapists and as people. Because not only can this stuff be applied to massage, this is my life and ideas learned in life applied to massage, not the other way around. So I think we can learn from our clients. I think we can learn from others, and I think we can learn to learn better, and that's where we're headed. I'm pretty sure the next episode will be another solo venture, but like I said, I'm really looking forward to having guests on, having my clients share in this conversation, so we can just learn about massage and what it looks like from both a therapist perspective and what it can look like from a client's perspective. So I think furthermore, I would just like to thank everybody for listening. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here today. This is Push and Pull, a medical massage podcast. We're looking to do this once a week, once every other week. It's going to be an interesting documentation of a field that has a lot more to offer, I think, is what I would really like to say about that. So without boring you any further, that has been episode 1 of Push and Pull, a medical massage podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great evening.